Elon Musk has rebranded Twitter to X. And the reason why this is important, I know many of you are not on Twitter, you don't care about Twitter, it just doesn't seem like it's anything at all, but except a place where people squabble and fight with each other and sling a lot of mud. And I do find Twitter, or X, I don't know what to call it anymore. I think it's X. I don't know what to call tweets. I think they're still tweets. I'm not really sure. Or if they're going to be called X's. All my exes live in Texas. I don't know. But it's a little confusing. The reason why this matters, even though Twitter is often just a social media site that many of us find kind of toxic, is because Elon Musk has really, really big plans for the app that is now called X. This is kind of reminding me of Prince, you know, the artist formerly known as Prince. Look, I'm still going to call Twitter Twitter. It's going to take a while for many of us to shift to calling it X over Twitter. We're used to it being Twitter. I don't know if any of us are if we're ever going to stop calling him tweets. It's just kind of bizarre. So we're going to be dead naming, basically, and we're going to get ourselves canceled for dead naming. I'm not going to respect Twitter's new pronouns. They can just forget about it. I'm going to be calling it whatever the hell I want to call it. Well, the reason why this matters for the many of you who are not on Twitter and don't give a damn is because of what he wants to ultimately roll this into. So he has said that Twitter, this or X app, is essentially going to be, well, everything. I mean, he's really kind of said the plan that he has for this is to make it everything and almost integrate it into our lives in a way that honestly reminds me of Apple. It sounds to me like he's taking on Apple, taking on the iPhone, taking on that everything that Apple has done for our lives. He kind of wants this new X company to do that. What he says is that X is, of course, going to be a social media site, but he wants to make it much, much more than that. So what he wants to develop it into is not only just tweeting our thoughts and messaging. We do direct message one another on that app, but he wants to turn the messaging into fully encrypted. He wants it to be able to where we can message in every type of way. So when Facebook came out with Messenger, and you know, you can make phone calls, you can video chat with people on Messenger, you can direct message people on Messenger. Sounds like he wants to do that with X. So X would become an app where you can communicate with loved ones or friends or family or people that you meet on X, on the app. And he wants that to be fully encrypted. He also says that he wants it to be, you know, he's rolling out the live streaming, which is really great for many creators. Many of us have thought, what's the point of Twitter? You can't, like, you're on there, you're wasting your time, you're just fighting with people, you're putting your opinions out there. It doesn't really, you know, it's not like you can monetize it, you're just wasting your time. But it turns out now he's monetized Twitter. He's even lowered the threshold of what it requires for you to be monetized. For a while there, it was 5 million impressions. You know, you had to be really active, have a really big following. But now they've lowered that quite a bit. And so now I think anyone who just gets verified as a creator can actually start creating on Twitter. So he wants to turn it into a site that's, I would say, would rival potentially YouTube in a way, right? Another competitor for that. For those of us that are on Rumble, and Rumble's a really great interface and really truly a free speech platform, I'm not sure how Twitter is going to integrate into that scene. I mean, there are quite a few other platforms that are doing something similar. You've got, of course, Rockfin, Odyssey. There's a bunch of platforms that are out there where people can post their content. BitChute, is that one? That's one, right? So Twitter is another one, but Twitter is so heavily political. And if Twitter doesn't censor, that could be good, because a lot of platforms, they have like a wide range of types of content, and Twitter is so heavily political. But I'm sure there's other, I mean, so many people use Twitter. There's all kinds of different, or X, I don't know, what are we calling it? Twitter. I'm dead naming it. I'm just going to keep dead naming it. I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. So they're going to be allowing creators to monetize on Twitter. Now, that still is not the reason why this is important to you, because many of you are still not going to care about that. Yeah, sure, maybe it's a place where you can watch more videos, you can message people, make phone calls. That sounds all neat and stuff. But let me show you why people are actually kind of freaking out about X, because Elon has said that he wants to turn this into a bank, essentially, almost like a bank. But the way he's describing it is, it's not, you have to rethink how banks work, but essentially he wants this to become half of the global financial like global financial system, half of that. So let's hear what he has to say. This is a SOT this is we call it a SOT here in the behind the scenes land. I don't even know what that even stands for. SOT, sound. I have to ask. But we got this video clip, and this video clip is what was trending all on Twitter, and people freaking out saying Elon Musk is going the ways of CBDCs. He's going to roll out central bank digital currency. He's the guy who, claims that he's all for free speech. He claims that he's one of us, and in reality, he's just just sheep herding us into the establishment, the World Economic Forum. He hired that Linda Yaccarino lady, and she's the one that came from the WEF, if you remember. He hired her back in May, and everybody was very shocked by this because here she was, a proud person coming out of the World Economic Forum. So people see that. So let's go ahead and watch.
Essentially, if done right, the X would serve people's financial needs to such a degree that over time it would become, I don't know, maybe half of the global financial system.
Wow.
Or some big number.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the number is, but pretty big. So it would be by far the biggest sort of financial institution. But like I said, not really in the way that people are used to thinking about banks.
Mm-hmm.
Just the most efficient database for the thing that is money. Like I said, least amount of fraud. Everything's real time. And if it involves money in any way, it can be dealt with seamlessly on one location.
Okay, so that's got a lot of eyebrows raised. People thinking, oh my gosh, this sounds like CBDC. He's going to create some sort of digital monetary platform that everyone can use. And so what does that mean? When you create something digital, does that mean you're going to be able to track it? I mean, look, right now, the way it works on Twitter or X is that you can search anyone's tweets. So you can actually, it's a data footprint. You can actually go back in time and search through people's tweets and see what they say, and you can hold them accountable and say, you said this 10 years ago. How dare you, you hypocrite? I don't care if you're 15 years old, you said it. And now you've grown up, but, look at you. So we know that this stuff is tracked already. The things that you put out there on Twitter are tracked. So a big concern is then, will this monetary system that he intends to unveil with X, is that also going to be tracked? Is this a digital currency that is the very thing that we're all very afraid of when it comes to the WEF and like ESG scores? Now, Elon Musk has been, even though he did hire Linda Yaccarino, he has been an incredibly loud, vocal critic against the World Economic Forum. That's why it was so surprising he hired her, because he's tweeted numerous times against the World Economic Forum, saying that I was invited, I didn't go. This is a global government that they're just pushing on people. They shouldn't be doing this. He has been incredibly critical of the World Economic Forum. He's also incredibly critical of ESG scores. So those are the environment, social governance scores that they give out to companies to see whether or not they're good when it comes to, it's supposed to be the environment, but then they turn it into social. So Tesla has like a low score compared to all of these really pollution emitting companies. And it's because they just don't like Elon Musk himself. But he's a very vocal critic of all of that global world governance stuff. So it's a little out of character then for him to unveil this, I'm going to make this payment system that is going to be half of the global financial system, and it's not going to be a bank in the way that you know it. It's going to be this, and he doesn't even call money currency. He's calling it data. So he's talking about it almost like a cryptocurrency in a way, and he wants to turn it in, and he wants X to be the largest one in the world. So this, this is concerning. So let's actually watch this isn't the entire clip. This is actually from an interview with Zuby on Twitter. Those of you who are on Twitter, he's one of the, big accounts on Twitter. And he sat down with Elon Musk and did about an hour or so long interview. And these are just clips from that interview. But this one just gives a little bit more context to what he was saying in that 45-second clip. This one is now 3 minutes, so it gives you a little bit more of what he was saying beforehand and after that. So let's go ahead and watch.
So you brought up X. X is something that you've been having in mind for a long time. Tell me
like
the
20
story.
years.
Yeah, tell me the story about X.com.
Well, I mean, way back in the day, the idea was for X or X.com to be an all-encompassing financial services company, um, or thought kind of in like a infinite information theory way to be the most efficient database for the information that is money. The way that money currently works is, from a practical standpoint, it's um, still mostly run on mainframes. That's still a thing for banks. It's mostly written in COBOL. It's still mostly batch processing. So actually, the financial system is very slow. It's not secure. You've got all these heterogeneous, complex databases. So if you have a real-time homogeneous database that is just like fundamentally more efficient and doesn't have all the expenses of bank buildings all over the place and bank branches and ATMs, which are increasingly kind of redundant, it can operate way more efficiently. And so essentially, if done right, the X would serve people's financial needs to such a degree that over time it would become, I don't know, maybe half of the global financial system.
Wow.
Or some big number.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the number is, but pretty big. So it would be by far the biggest sort of financial institution. But like I said, not really in the way that people are used to thinking about banks.
Mhm.
Just the most efficient database for the thing that is money. Like I said, like least amount of fraud. Everything's real time. And if it involves money in any way, it can be dealt with seamlessly on one location. And then in addition, you've got the sort of social media element, which is also information. It's people sharing information of various kinds, whether it's text, video, pictures, voice, and so so both money and what we call social media are really information exchange. And I think there's potential there to make a product that is really quite compelling, that combines all these things, simplifies people's lives, is more, cost efficient for the average person.
Mhm.
So, you don't have a minimum number of fees and whatnot. So, so I think there's just a lot of potential to create some, like the kind of the ultimate app or system, website, whatever.
So that's interesting. So it sounds a lot to me like, for one, he'd been developing this for 20 something years. So this is not something that he's just coming out with and saying, "Oh, I want to get in the CBDC game and the government is ushering me in to help do this." Elon Musk has his background with PayPal, so he's always been into the financial transaction game, and he also was one of the first companies to allow his product to be sold with Bitcoin. Remember, he was taking Bitcoin when it came to Tesla sales for a while there, and then he kind of stopped and said, "Wait a minute, I don't know." And so now he's saying that he wants X to turn into this big financial, some sort of payment sort of system. It does remind me a bit of Apple. So it's like you've got your iPhone, you have Apple Pay, you can click on the side of your phone and pay with whatever. It's also obviously you're able to connect with people. It's a bit social. You've got a bunch of different apps on there. So I'm curious if this X company that he's creating, he's taking Twitter and he's using that as the base. And he's saying, I'm just going to, rather than build it from scratch, and he even said in this interview, I could have built it from scratch, and that was kind of my plan, but then I didn't need to because I bought Twitter, and now I can actually take Twitter and just use that as the springboard to create all of these other layers of things. And so it's very possible, when you think about the iPhone, for example, how did it start? It started as the iPod. And then from the iPod, it developed into, and it was just iTunes. Like you're just going to listen to your music on this machine. And then that suddenly turned into phone. And now it's what it is. And now you have an Apple credit card and it does everything that you want it. There's just a million things that you need your iPhone for or whatever smartphone that you're using. And so it sounds to me like he's wanting to usher in something along those lines. And so we can't really quite imagine fully what he's imagining, but it sounds like he is getting into this social media game. He's wanting to take on Facebook. It's something that, Mark Zuckerberg never really was able to develop Facebook into. There was a time, if you remember, there was chatter about a Facebook phone, and when everybody was on Facebook and Facebook was like the hot thing. But Facebook is kind of going the way of MySpace in a lot of ways, and Mark Zuckerberg is doing whatever he can to try to reinvent it a bit with this Threads app. He has Instagram, and then he unleashed Threads, and of course that is not going well at all. And so it'll be interesting to see what Elon actually is envisioning with this whole X company. Again, though, I still don't know what to call tweets. If he's going to change the name of those, I think it should just stay, I suppose. On this note, though, of CBDCs, I wanted to show this job listing to you because this is frightening. It turns out the Federal Reserve is marching forward with these CBDCs. And in fact, they're hiring. They're looking for people to develop these CBDCs. Take a look at this job posting here. This is from the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. They're looking for a senior crypto architect for central bank digital currency. This is a full-time job. This job posting has been expired. I think they, once this kind of started trending, I think they started to get a lot of inquiries and they shut down the job posting at this point. But it was a full-time job for the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. It says, as part of the Federal Reserve's mission to promote accessible, safe, and efficient systems to facilitate dollar transactions, the Federal Reserve System seeks a technologist to perform central bank digital currency research and development. Given the dollar's significant role, the FRS, which is the Federal Reserve System, seeks to further understand the cost and benefits of the potential technologies for CBDC and this emerging field. So this position is an outstanding opportunity to be part of a team on the leading edge of technology research into central bank digital currency. You will join a world-class team in a dynamic environment that has the feel of a startup. So the Federal Reserve is going to have the feel of a startup as they're developing these central bank digital currencies that they're going to throw at all of us. It says we're looking for a lead application developer to implement example systems related to CBDC. You will engage directly with management, other developers on the team, development operations team, and vendors to ensure the Federal Reserve is well positioned to design, develop, and implement technology to support a CBDC as may be required by the Board of Governors. So the Board of Governors are those that are in control of the Federal Reserve, sort of. Really, who's in control of the Federal Reserve when you really get down to the nuts and bolts of it is the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is the main bank, and it's the investors into that bank that are really, truly running the world, and that would be Chase Bank and Citibank. So like Jamie Dimon is one of the main players. So really they kind of default to and then whoever's in control of Jamie Dimon and who's ever in control of Citibank, which is really pretty much the same players in the banking system. So they're saying that this is going to be required by the Board of Governors. So the Federal Reserve wants to do this, and this new job position would help research the development and the implementation of CBDCs and also develop the actual CBDCs. So they're looking for somebody with a bachelor's degree with a concentration in computer science. They say that the salary range, $134,000 to maximum is $215,000, depending on your, I guess, experience in doing this. So it's happening. This was a posting on Indeed. They're just out there looking. They're out there looking and hiring. So it's happening. So we'll see what Elon Musk's X and financial taking over half the global financial system with that. I don't know if that would be in competition with CBDCs in a way, if that would be like, here's a place where you could put your money and no one, if Elon is actually one of the good guys, right? The one that is still really fighting against the World Economic Forum, is truly fighting against ESG scores, is truly fighting for free speech. He even said in that interview with Zuby that right now Twitter is losing, like it cost $2 billion for free speech, that's how many advertisers backed out because they didn't like what he was doing. And so that's how much Twitter lost. He says the cost of free speech is $2 billion. That's how much it's been at this point. Maybe they'll make it back, but that's the price. So if it turns out that he's actually one of the good guys and he's going to develop this new currency system in order to compete with this idea of digital currency that they're going to be monitoring, then you can expect and you can bet that things are going to get worse for Elon Musk than they already are. As it is, because he bought Twitter and turned it into a free speech platform, which he says he knows it's not perfect. There are still some issues with it. People are still being censored, but he says they are working to make that very transparent so that if you are shadow banned or censored or something's wrong with your account, you'll know why and you'll know what you can do to correct that. But right now, he is under attack. Here is Elizabeth Warren actually was trying to she's been trying to get the SEC to investigate Elon Musk. She's very upset about Elon Musk being, this is a letter that she sent out to, she's wanting the SEC to investigate Elon Musk, saying that basically the idea is that she's alleging that Tesla shareholders are not getting the best of Elon because he's too busy focusing on Twitter or X or whatever that is. And so she's alleging that he potentially misappropriated funds and employees in using them for the acquisition of Twitter when they were really supposed to be focusing on Tesla, and that is a disservice to the shareholders of Tesla, and therefore he needs to be investigated for some wrongdoing. So they're going after Elon Musk. Here's Elizabeth Warren going after Elon Musk. They're essentially, Democrats are saying, we don't like this whole free speech thing that you're doing. We want to put a stop to it. Now, if Elon Musk is actually going to roll out a global financial system that is going to compete with CBDCs, you can imagine this is absolutely going to intensify. He is going to be under the microscope. They're going to go after him. They're going to try to shut him down. They're going to try to shut his businesses down. They're going to try to shut X down. They're maybe going to even try to shut Tesla down. I mean, it's very bizarre why they're so against him and why they want to keep going after him. But, this is just one of those examples that they're trying to use every possible weapon they can to silence him and get rid of him. He's being treated. He's going to get the Trump treatment. He's going to be even more dangerous than Trump, actually, if he's able to pull all of this off, his vision off. He's going to be the most dangerous man potentially in the world to them. And you can bet that they're going to do everything they possibly can to take him down. That's if he's one of the good guys. That is yet to be seen as we go forward. But if history has any indication, if the things that he said has any indication and the things that he's done, I would imagine that he may actually be a person who is willing to take this on as a person who's going to fight for freedom, free speech, within reason. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be hiccups, but it's better than the alternative, which is that Federal Reserve digital currency that they're definitely pushing on us. Well, let me tell you about our great sponsor, CBDistillery.com. They are doing this incredible offer for you Rumble viewers. They are doing this great offer. You could get up to 50% off everything when you use the code RUMBLE at checkout. So pick all of your stuff out. You could choose from a range of carefully formulated CBD and other plant-based solutions for relaxation, stress, sleep, pain after physical activity, even mood and focus. They extract healing plant compounds and vital nutrients for your whole body. No artificial colors, no artificial flavors or preservatives, no sweeteners, just 100% clean ingredients. So don't miss this Rumble exclusive sale. Get up to 50% off your order by visiting cbdistillery.com and entering Rumble at checkout. That is cbdistillery.com. That link is down below. Enter Rumble at checkout. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for those of you watching in my home great state of Idaho, but it is not available in Idaho, Iowa, and South Dakota.